better force feedback and physics compared to iRacing, some exquisite content, and it's currently being used for some of the biggest e-sporting events taking place at the moment, like the upcoming 24 Hours of Le Mans virtual race with pro drivers, real and virtual. So why is Rfactor 2 so dead? Well, we're going to answer that question in this video. Welcome back to the Game of Muscle YouTube channel. Click that like button, click subscribe and hit the bell. Or don't, it depends if you like the content or not. Now, in order to answer this question, we've got ourselves Okayama with AI, you know, a nice talk and drive AI race. But crucially, we've got the new Radical SR3 DLC, which I did buy. I've loaded it up. We put it in the game. The Radical SR3 XX. It's 1X away from being fully arousing, but it's still quite titillating. Maybe the next one will have 3 X's. Who knows? Let's get driving whilst we talk about this, though. So, as I say at the intro, when you compare Rfactor 2 to other simulators, many aspects of it really stand out well. Like, you know, it has full dynamic day and night, does have dynamic weather. The actual force feedback, I think, is way better than iRacing for the most part, way better than ACC, better than Race Room, and specific aspects of the force feedback I think are better than AC, or just different from the other simulators. But fundamentally, the handling and force feedback in Rfactor 2 is super immersive, and you can tell, as soon as you jump in any car, you can tell that there's just a lot going on under the hood with the physics, which then makes it a really compelling simulator to drive once you're on the track and once you're in a car. And therein lies the problem with Rfactor 2, and the reason I think it ends up being largely overlooked, ignored and banished by a good number of simulators, and that is that at a basic level, it's just a real pain in the arse to load up, get in content and drive. He just punted me, filthy AI. And for an example, even for this video, it's taken me about 2 hours just to get things going with this new DLC in a way that was consistent and suitable to make this video from. From having to buy the car in the workshop randomly, find out how that was done, to going back to the old UI rather than the public beta UI. The new UI looks arguably nice, but is functionally probably worse than the old UI. And then fiddling around with little minutiae in terms of the car setup and bits and bobs of the force feedback to just get everything nice. It's just not a seamless experience. And then you've got to bear in mind that I know Rfactor 2 reasonably well. I've been playing it since 2012, so I know to set the track up with the rubbered in. I know how to set the AI up. I know which tracks generally look okay and which content is generally going to be okay. If you were to come to Rfactor 2, even with the new beta UI, it is still a total minefield and chore to just load up and get in a game. And I think, to be fair to Studio 397, they have done, you can tell with the new UI, they have done a lot of, jeez, every time, I'm here, mate. They've done a lot of work to the user experience, and they have improved things like having the back-end stuff they've really improved on, like having it download tracks and cars if you join the server automatically. They're getting rid of the separate launcher and stuff. They have done loads of work, but, and a lot of other simulators have this problem as well, but it's just not easy to load up and get into a race. And that's what you need from a simulator, if you want, regardless of the quality of the force feedback and physics and other features, you need a simulator to have base settings out of the box, so that an average person, not a total sim noob or computer noob, but an average person that's maybe played 1 or 2 sims or is a PC gamer, they can load the game up, run it, and get in a race and enjoy something that's a high quality experience without having to have read the Bible of ISI 397 Rfactor 2 to get that basic experience from it. This is then all compounded, the fact that it doesn't have that user flow to it, it's all compounded by the nature of Rfactor 2 suffering from DLC-itis, where there is actually quite a bit of base content in the game now, and some of that base content is really good quality. But realistically, the best quality content is going to be random DLC in terms of like some of the nicer tracks and some of the nicer cars, and then you're then going to have to preemptively know to buy that DLC. So you buy the game, and then you've got to know which DLC to buy, and each time you have to part with some money. Now, I would argue that the DLC for Rfactor 2 isn't necessarily overpriced. The issue, as with all DLC, this applies to Race Room as well and iRacing, the issue is that it really fragments the user base and the online user base when you have all this disparate content all over the place, and it makes it really, really, really hard for a new consumer that's kind of like, oh, that looks like an interesting game. Shall I try it out? Oh, okay, look, I can justify 25 quid to try the game out, or, you know, give it a punt. Oh, no, hang on a minute, I need to spend another £5 for this. Oh, hang on a minute, I need to spend another £10 for this. Oh, hang on a minute, I need to spend another £8 for this. So, in reality, I actually need to spend, I don't know, between another £30 and £60 or something over the basic game. But I don't know what people are driving, I don't know what's good, I don't know what's bad. Do you know what? I'm actually playing driving sims for fun, so sod it, I'm not going to play it at all. that is the that's why this whole DLC consumer thing combined with something that's not innately fun to use in terms of the UI and everything. That's why new users basically have been, in my opinion, have been ignoring Rfactor 2. So the solution is a couple of things, really. I think the new UI, though the back end stuff Studio 397 have done is really good, is still absolutely pants in terms of making something accommodating and easy to get into. The DLC, I mean, they've dug themselves into a corner with that. Maybe there'll be enough free mod stuff that can carry it, but it seems ultimately AC is the mod platform as it is right now, and for most people with most equipment, AC is going to offer generally as good an experience as Rfactor 2, you know, from a general user perspective. So it's like, well, why bother getting into Rfactor 2 modding when, you know, AC is a lot cheaper and way more established and easier to use? So, yeah, I don't know what they could do about the DLC thing, other than, I guess, the solution there would be if they keep pushing the esports profile of it and genuinely offer big esports events and what have you with the DLC discounted. I can see that helping a lot. What accident! But, well, you know, it's an awkward one. It's an awkward one. Studio 397 are in an awkward spot. I think really, I kind of feel like really what needs to happen is they just need to ditch Rfactor 2 as a brand, bin it. I know it's not this simple. I know how licensing and everything makes all this very complicated. Bin Rfactor 2 as a brand, relaunch, call it Endurance Racing Simulator, sell a simulator for 30 quid at launch, occasionally on sale for like £20, $19.99. In that, have the endurance content, the Le Mans track, and a bunch of other tracks that are the nice detail tracks, Sebring, Silverstone, you know, the endurance tracks. And then do very, very generous DLC packs, which include at least one track, ideally two, and 2 or 3 cars, and do that every 3 or 4 months so that you don't get user fatigue, and sell those packs for around about, you know, another 15 quid or so. Well, 12 to 15 quid. Basically, just do what Kunos did with the Assetto Corsa 1, but improve on it a little bit in terms of what you're offering with the content, and you would have a winner on your hands. That's the solution. Where's my money in the post, Studio 397? No, it's never that simple, obviously, but man, it's just so frustrating. Like, this Radical it's really nice to drive, you know. You've got really nice detail through the force feedback here. That's one of the things that Rfactor 2 does through its force feedback that I think is better than other Sims force feedback is you really feel the rubber on the tyre through your steering wheel. I mean, if you're using a direct drive wheel, you really, in terms of steering rack, authentic steering rack force feedback, the road surface texture, the tyre flex, the loading of the tyre, the understeer, the lead into the grip, all that is absolutely bloody fantastic in Rfactor 2's force feedback. I would say it lacks a sort of seat of the pants feel, which is something that I find very handy to drive from. But if you've got a direct drive wheel, you have to have Rfactor 2 you need to experience it with some of the cars because it's such an immersive experience. Then you've got like the AI in Rfactor 2 is still some of the best AI for actual racing. Like you can set them quite aggressive. They will actually do moves on you. They do moves on each other. They make genuine mistakes. If you wanted to practice sort of realistic offline racing with AI, an AI that puts up a good fight, Rfactor 2 is probably still the best simulator. Again, with a little bit of tweaking and fiddling around, but it's probably one of the best simulators for AI racing, to be honest. And then you have all the stuff like the actual, the sort of wear and tear of the vehicles, and all the sort of deep simulation details, and you know that you can really see the sort of heritage with Rfactor 2 and Rfactor 1 and how it's been used as a professional simulator in many ways, or variants of it have been used as a professional simulator. You know, you can see that depth and detail in it when you just drive it. Also, you can have loads of cars on the screen. There's so many good things with Rfactor 2 that aren't in other simulators, but that usability, I think that's the thing that's killing it. That's the thing that's killing it. We've finished the race. I'm just chooching around here. Just wanted to keep talking. But you know, guys, what do you guys? Whoa! Talk about strong force feedback there. And I've not got any thumbs left. Thank you, DD Wheel. What do you guys think? Do you agree with why I think Rfactor 2 is perhaps a lot less successful than it should be? Do you disagree? I think everyone probably all disagree because it's the internet. But let me know what you think in the comments. I'm going to drive some more of this Radical. I'm still learning how to drive it in this, and we're definitely going to have to compare this Radical with the ones in Assetto Corsa and the Clarky mods. But yeah, thank you for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. As I said, subscribe and like if you want to. If you don't, bugger off. It's time for me to have a cup of tea. It's time for me to play some VR games. But Until the next video, I'm still learning how to do this camera stuff on the fly. Until the next video, guys, thanks for watching, and goodbye, everybody.